Let's pray together. Lord, once again we come always seeking your wisdom, your guidance, seeking your Holy Spirit to enlighten us. Lord, asking that the words of my mouth, the meditations of all of our hearts and minds together would be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. For Lord, you're our rock, you're our Redeemer. Amen. There are entire books and especially websites dedicated to failure. To fails, where people just did things that they didn't think through, or they didn't really think about how it would look or how it would sound. People that just kind of goofed up and in a way that's confusing and often amusing. So here's a few fails. Like for example, here's on the questionnaire: have you ever been in an accident that resulted in your death? I would hope most people would say no to that. If you answer yes, that's a little spooky. Here's another one. My favorite color is Hitler? Does it say Hitler? No, it actually says glitter, but the way they have it, the font, it makes it look like the favorite color is Hitler, which I didn't know was a color, but maybe they should have used a different font for that bag. Here's another one. Don't kill your wife with work. Let electricity do it. I think maybe they weren't advocating electrocuting her, but it just doesn't work. That slogan doesn't work very well. Here's one. This is from another country. They placed a trash can in front of a billboard, and it just does not make appetizing. You know, the guy's going, as he appears to eat out of the trash. Probably not the best placement of a trash can ever. Here's another one. Don't be happy, worry. We know it's supposed to be don't worry, be happy, but again, the layout maybe could be improved on that. Here's another one. Boneless, skinless children's thighs. I hope they meant chicken. I really hope they meant chicken. I mean, good price, $2.59 a pound for boneless, skinless children's thighs. But yeah, that's not good. A big sale. Here's the pillows. Study those for a minute. Something's not right about those pillows. I think they might have needed to consult something before they drew that design. I think they're a little geographically challenged with that particular compass. Here's another one. Entrance only, do not enter. Okay, so do I enter or not? I mean, that's confusing, I think, that sign. Here's another one. This isn't just a house, it's a house. Okay, it's like, am I missing something here? It's not just a house, it's a house. Maybe they meant home for the second word, maybe would have made it a little bit more sense. But it isn't just a house, it's a house. Okay, and here we go. Mice, 10-pound bag for $1. Thanks, McDonald's. I'm not sure if I really want to spend $1 on 10 pounds of mice, but again, just think placement of your letters and things. So those would be what we would call fails. Fails. The reason I bring all that up is because our verse today is love never fails. Love never fails. We've been talking about love all summer long. We've been talking one phrase at a time about 1 Corinthians 13, which has this description of love. What does love look like? What does love do? How does love act? What are the qualities of love? How can you recognize love? And Paul has this, really his most famous probably chapter of anything he wrote in any of his 13 letters, where he describes love. What does love look like? What does love sound like? And he says love's patient and it's kind. That it doesn't envy. It doesn't have a swelled head. It doesn't fly off the handle in rage and anger. It doesn't keep score of everybody else's flaws and sins. It loves the truth and it protects. And last week we talked about it trusts and it hopes. But today, we kind of finish that paragraph where Paul says, love perseveres, love never fails. Love never fails. And we read that and we think, well, gosh, Paul, that's a nice thought. But we can say, but is it really true that love never fails? Because it doesn't take long to come up with an example of where it seems like love fails often. Half of first-time marriages end in divorce. 67% of second marriages end in divorce. 73% of all third marriages end in divorce. You can say there's some failures of love, and it's not just marriage. Think about relationships that fail. Dating relationships, friendships, parents and kids estranged from one another, siblings that won't speak to each other, all kinds of relationships that seem to look like at least where love has failed. We can start listing, here's places where love has failed. When I was in kindergarten about 100 years ago, not quite that long, when I was in kindergarten, kindergarten was only half a day. I went in the morning. You could go in morning or afternoon. I had a morning kindergarten, and I remember I would come home from kindergarten. My mother would come and pick me up from kindergarten and take me home, and I had the same thing for lunch every single day. The entire school year, I had the same lunch every day. And she offered to maybe give me something different. No, I want the same thing for lunch every day, SpaghettiOs. Okay? A bowl of SpaghettiOs was what I had for lunch every day of kindergarten because I loved SpaghettiOs. That's what I ate in kindergarten. Well, almost 60 years later, 55 years later, I hadn't had SpaghettiOs in forever. I was in the grocery store. I just happened to be going down an aisle, and I spied SpaghettiOs. And I thought, man, I used to love these things. I hadn't had them in decades. I was just on a whim. I thought, well, you know what? Instead of going and getting a burger or going somewhere else today for lunch, I'm just going to heat up a microwave bowl of SpaghettiOs, So I brought here to the church. I put it in the bowl. I heated the microwave. I took a bite. No. I do not love SpaghettiOs anymore. That love is gone. That love has failed. So, I could not finish the bowl of SpaghettiOs. Sorry, Campbell's or whoever puts it out. That was a love fail. That love did not last. So when we say love never fails, what does Paul mean? Well, it's not really Paul's problem or Paul's, what it really is we people who speak English, we are awfully sloppy about the word love. We are really sloppy about how we use the word love. We use the word love for things that are deeply personal and intimate and special, and we use the word love for the most insignificant things as well. We talk about we love our wives or our husbands. We love our children, our grandchildren. We love our family. We love our best friends. We love our dogs and our cats. And we love, our favorite sports team. We love the Cowboys or the Sooners. We love our favorite burger joint. We love our favorite soft drink. We love our favorite band. We love Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. This candy bar. We use the word love for all these different things. From things that are deeply profound to things that are really trivial. Our favorite pizza, our favorite kind of candy and cookie. We use that same word, love. Now, other languages are not like that. Greek has a whole bunch of words for love. Kind of like, if you ever heard the Inuit folks, we used to refer to them as Eskimos. That's really not the way that they like to be referred to. The Inuit folks, they have 12 words for snow. We have one word for snow. They have 12 words for snow because, this is the word for wet snow. This is the word for dry snow. This is the word for deep snow, etc., etc. Well, in Greek, there's all these different words for love. And we have this one English word that we translate all of those Greek words as just one word, love. Greek has almost 10 times the vocabulary of English. There's many more Greek words than there are English words. So the Greek language is a lot more picky. And here's like some of the different Greek words for love. There's the word philios. It means friendship love. Like Philadelphia means brotherly love. Philios means friendship love. Storge means family love. The love you have in your family. Eros, we get our word erotic from that. Eros means sensual love. It means desire. Ludos means infatuation. We might call it puppy love. But Paul doesn't use any of those words. Paul uses the word agape. Agape. In 1 Corinthians 13, the word he uses over and over and over when he says love is patient, love is kind, etc. He's using this Greek word agape. And it means sacrificial love, giving love, unconditional love, godly love, Christ-like love. So when he's talking about love, he's not talking about, how we love, a particular burger joint or how we love a certain band. He's talking about a deep kind of love, sacrificial love, the kind of love we see in God, the kind of love we see in Jesus. Now, so think about that, and the NIV has love never fails. But even there, the word translated fail is a Greek word that's kind of hard to translate. It's the Greek word ekpipto. Ekpipto, which literally means to fall over or to drop off. So, literally, agape never falls over. Agape never drops off. But that just doesn't quite convey what it's trying to say. So different translations of the Bible, different English translations, take a different stab at it. The Good News has it this way. Love is eternal. The NLV has it this way. Love never comes to an end. The Message has it this way. Love never dies. So you can hear they're all kind of in the same ballpark, but they all kind of have a different way of translating this phrase. So when Paul says literally love never falls over, love never drops off, he's saying love is eternal. It doesn't have an ending place. It's always there. It's never wasted. It's never really wrong. This kind of love is eternal. And he's comparing it to other things that don't last. When he said, basically, love lasts. Love will always, the universe, heaven, there'll always be love. He says, some things don't last. In our world, there's things that were around 10, 20 years ago that don't last. And what I mean by think about things, at least some of you are younger, never have heard of these things maybe, or never experienced them. Things that used to be around, like Blockbuster Video, VHS tapes, things like old typewriters, or pagers. I had a pager. Or big, thick phone books, or carbon paper. I mean, these are all things that were a part of my life at one point. I typed every single term paper in college on a regular old typewriter with carbon paper and whiteout and all these things. Those things, nobody uses any of those things anymore. So some things don't last. And Paul says, love is eternal. He says some things will go away. Like he says, prophecy. There's not going to be any need for prophecy in heaven. In heaven we'll see God face to face. There won't be any need for prophecy in heaven. He says, speaking in tongues will go away. There won't be any need for that in heaven. We'll all get to heaven. We'll all be speaking dozens and dozens of different languages, but somehow I'm confident we'll all be able to understand each other. He says, speaking in tongues, that phenomenon of ecstatic speech, that'll go away. And he says, prophecy, that's going to go away. But love will never go away. The book of Revelation talks about things that'll go away, like darkness. Heaven will never get dark. The gates of heaven will never close. There's no locks on the doors of heaven. There's no need for locks. There's lots of things that there won't be in heaven. There won't be any wheelchairs in heaven. There won't be any canes in heaven. There won't be any aspirin or Tylenol in heaven. there won't be any need for any of those things. Those things will come to an end, but love will never come to an end. Agape never dies. Agape never fails. I think one of the reasons that the most probably famous and popular parable of all of Jesus' parables is the prodigal son, the one that's probably preached on the most. I've probably preached on it more than any other parable of Jesus, because it so perfectly encapsulates in that one parable the whole message of Jesus. Some have called it the gospel in miniature, that story of the prodigal son. And just reminded, it's this kid who's ungrateful and restless. He goes to his father and says, "Dad, I can't wait for you to die to get my inheritance. Can I have it now?" And the father lets him have his inheritance. And he goes off to find his way in the world, and he blows all the money on partying and stupid stuff. He blows through the money quickly. Then he has no friends, no job. He finally gets the worst job in the world for a Jewish kid, which is feeding the pigs. And he's starving to death, and he says, "What have I done?" He says, I'll go back and beg for my father to give me a job as a hired hand. And he heads home. But we know this story is called the prodigal son, or the lost son. Maybe it should be called the parable of the loving father, because the whole time he's gone, the father never stops loving him. His love for his father has waned. He's messed up bad. You might say the son's love has failed, but the father's love never fails. He never stops watching for his son to come up the driveway. He never stops waiting for his son to be on the horizon. He waits every morning praying that his son would come home. And when his son finally does come up the driveway, he rushes and runs to him and embraces him and kisses him. And the son starts his prepared speech. "I've messed up, Father. I've messed up big time. I know I don't deserve to be called your son anymore. Can I have a job in the bunkhouse?" And the father just hugs him and gives him fresh clothes and new shoes and says, "We're having a party because my son is here. My son is back. My son is alive." The father's love, the father's agape, never fails, never ends. And when Paul says love never fails, that's what he's talking about. That God's love for us never fails. It never ends. Even though we may grow cold, even though we may stray, God's love is a constant. Paul says this in Ephesians 3. He says, "I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have the power, together with all the Lord's holy people, to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ. And to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God." Think about that. That you would somehow be able to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is God's love, is Christ's love. It's beyond our understanding just how big it is, how wide and deep and high it is. He says this, and God says this, the psalmist says this in Psalm 143. The psalmist says, "Let the morning bring me word, God, of your unfailing love. I put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go. For to you I entrust my life." That phrase, unfailing love. In other words, love that doesn't fail. All through the Psalms, you see the phrase unfailing love, or steadfast love, or everlasting love. Those phrases, unfailing love and everlasting love, are in the Bible over 200 times that talk about how God's love doesn't fail. C.S. Lewis, one of my top favorite authors, just says this. Lewis says this: "Though our feelings come and go, God's love for us does not." Our feelings come and go, but God's love for us does not. Think about love failing. Think about Peter, the one Jesus called the rock. He has a big time fail. Thursday night, Last Supper, Jesus says, "One of you is going to betray me." And Peter says, "Well, Lord, I'll die for you. I'll die with you." And Jesus says, "Peter, you're going to deny you even know me tonight." Never, 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 never would I do that. Jesus gets arrested. 10 of the disciples just run off and hide. Peter follows at a safe distance, and Jesus is in the house of the high priest getting slapped and spat on through this mockery of a trial, and Peter's out in the courtyard waiting to see what's going to happen, and someone says, "Hey, you're one of those Jesus people, aren't you?" "Not me." "Yeah, I saw you with him. You're mistaken. I've never even met the guy. I'm sure I've seen you with Jesus." And Peter begins to cuss and curse and says, "I don't know anybody named Jesus. I don't know that man." And the rooster crows. And Peter runs off weeping because Peter's love has failed. Peter's love failed. But Jesus' love didn't. Jesus never stopped loving Peter. In the midst of all that, Jesus never stopped loving him. And after the resurrection, when Jesus appears to his disciples, he shows nothing but love to all of them. Thomas, who doubted, Peter, who denied. And he says to Peter, he still calls him the rock, "Peter, feed my lambs, feed my sheep. Take care of my flock." You know, he keeps loving him. He entrusts him with leadership. Jesus' love doesn't fail. It is what we call unconditional. God's love is unconditional. He loves us no matter what. 1 John 3:1, John writes this in his first letter. "What marvelous love the Father has extended to us. Just look at it. We're called children of God. And that's who we really are." We read that earlier from a different translation. The Message just says it this way. Hey, the Bible says we're children of God, and that's really who we are. We're children of God. That's our identity. You know, I know it is August, and I know the temperature has been, 147 and all that. I mean, I know it has unbelievably been hot this month. But let me tell you a story that's about Christmas. I know Christmas is a long way away. But Hobby Lobby has their Christmas stuff up. So if Hobby Lobby can do it, if Mr. Green can put out his stuff. So think cold thoughts here. There's a fella, I was reading a story by a guy named Mike Coppersmith. And he tells the story of when his little boy, Nicholas, was in kindergarten. Probably not eating SpaghettiOs. But his little boy, Nicholas, was in kindergarten and was in the school winter program. Now, they used to call it, of course, the Christmas program. Some of you who are younger have never experienced that in the public schools. The public schools used to have Christmas programs, and the kids would actually sing things like Silent Night or Away in a Manger, but that has primarily gone away. And so when Mike was heading to the school winter program, he knew it's going to be songs about snowflakes and candy canes and Frosty and Santa and etc., the Grinch. I mean, he knew it was not going to be any quote-unquote religious songs. It would only be, Santa Claus songs. So he didn't have really high expectation, but his little boy, Nicholas, was in the kindergarten class. There was 13 of them in the kindergarten class, and they had one of the songs for the show, for the Christmas program. And their kindergarten class's song was called Christmas Love. And they had a song, and I don't know the song, I just read this in print, but they had a song where they were singing like, C is for Christmas, and H is for happy, and R is for reindeer, and I is for icicles, and S is for Santa. You get it, okay? It was spelling out Christmas love. And as they sang the song, every child had a letter. And when they sang the C, the first child held up a C, and when they got to H, the next kid held up an H, and then when they got to the R, the next kid held up an R, etc., all the way through 13 kids holding up the letter as they got to it in the song. So, pretty straightforward, except one little girl failed. One little girl messed up. Because she was the M. She was the M in Christmas. So she had her M there. But when it came time for her to hold up the M, she held it upside down. So it looked like a W instead of an M. So instead of it spelling out Christmas love, it actually spelled out Christ was love. Christ was love. So she messed up, but a lot of people thought maybe that really wasn't such a mess up after all. That somehow in the midst of Frosty and the Grinch, that simple message got out. Christ was love. Christ is love. Let me finish by reading just from 1 John 4. Dear friends, let us love one another. For love comes from God. Everyone who loves has been born of God and knows God. Whoever doesn't love doesn't know God, because God is love. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one's ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you for love. God, we thank you that this is so central to who you are and to why you've done what you do and why you even made us and created us, why you made this world, why you made us in your image, why you sent Jesus to die for us, to cover us over with your redeeming blood, and why Jesus conquered the grave, why we can proclaim in this congregation that tomb was empty. Lord, we thank you for your love. We thank you for who you are and who we are because we're connected to you. And that the scriptures promise that when we are connected to you, nothing can separate us from your love, not even death itself. Thank you for your love.